Michelle, are you ready?
I was born ready.
She's an award-winning author, speaker, and podcast host who serves on the National Faith Advisory Council. She supported Donald J. Trump for president before it was cool, from her she shed in her beautiful backyard. This is the Michelle Moore Show.
Like miners of old, on a search for pure gold, like ancient explorers, venture outside their borders. My heart is yearning to go somewhere new. I long to explore the depths of you, to explore the depths of you. Latitude and longitude and every thought in between, to know you are and all we could be, the ways that you move, the dreams we could dream, to know all the depths of you. Like a ship out at sea, going where your current leads, like a poetic scholar. My thoughts long to wander, and this mind is burning to know something new. I long to explore the depths of you, to explore the depths of you. Dream to know all the depths of you.
I love that song. I don't know about you guys, but I do. Of course, it's Alicia and Whitney. The link to their video is in today's show description. So if you go to Rumble, the Michelle Moore Show, you'll see it right there in the show description. All right. Well, excited. We got Lieutenant Mark Taylor. He's a retired firefighter and, of course, a major prophetic voice over the past, 8, 9, 10 years now. I think we're going close to 10 years. And so we'll have to ask him about that when we bring him in. He's with us today. I'm very excited about it. You know, I love Mark Taylor. And so we're going to have him on. I first, though, got a couple other things I want to tell you about. First thing is, after Mark today, be sure to stay tuned because we have a big time North Carolina update. Got so much to tell you, show you. We got a few things we're going to go over. And I also want to make sure that you know the schedule for the rest of the week because I'm going back to North Carolina early in the morning. And so producer Ron, myself, and my husband, we're all going. And I have partnered again with Houchin's Food Group. We're going to show you a video, show you the details, and tell you what's going on and how we got involved. And I'll tell you the whole kit and caboodle about the whole thing, though. Okay, so that's one thing. Want to tell you about that. We're going to talk about Godly Granny too at the end of the show. Also, I love it when other people catch on to what I've been telling y'all. So, we've had Mike Fulgens on, and he's going to be on next week also. Got some questions for him. I wanted him to explain some things to you when it comes to investing in gold, silver, metals, just all kinds of stuff. And so, but Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank, he has also now partnered with Universal Coin and Bullion. And I wanted to tell you something. I thought it was interesting. So I happened to be looking over the press release, and it said, knowing what makes a smart investment is my job. I believe everyone should own some gold as a hedge against inflation and for portfolio diversification, said Kevin O'Leary. Also, they have an A+ better rating with the Better Business Bureau. So producer Ron and I were talking about that right before the show. Just everything about them is great. Look, gold and silver is God's money. That's God's currency. There's nothing wrong with owning gold and silver. In fact, I own silver. I own metals. Producer Ron, we all do. But I have to tell you, it's who you do business with. I think that matters the most, obviously. And I think in the last year, boy, have I come to realize that. So I just wanted to share this with you. If you want to call them, you want to talk with them, you can. 800-321-8700. Mention the Michelle Moore Show when you call so you can get some free shipping on whatever you end up getting. We've given away numerous coins from them. We've done different things with them. Mike Fulgens will be here. I think it's next Monday. I think he's scheduled to be here for a little bit with us. Also, their website is universalcoin.com. You can always go to Truth Talk America also .com. And I think there's, I know there is. There's always a ticker at the top that tells you what the pricing of metals is at that moment. At the very top of the website. That was something I just kept having a vision about last year sometime and asked Universal Coin and Bullion if we could somehow do some kind of a plug-in with them. And would they be able to provide those numbers, those costs and stuff? And so what the market was doing, I just talked and they said, sure. And then also over the weekend, I spoke to close friends of mine. They're the ones that actually helped me to learn about metals. And they said that when they started purchasing metals about 5-6 years ago, they were buying silver at 14 an ounce. Now it's, what is it, like 30, 32, something like that. So I thought that was very interesting as well. All right. Well, like I said, Mike will be here next week. I just thought that was great. Isn't that great? So good luck. Congratulations to them for having Kevin O'Leary, just saying, hey, yeah, they're the ones. I thought that was great. It was just great. All right, so let's go on ahead and bring in our guest of the day, Lieutenant Mark Taylor. I'm so glad that he's here with us today. Hi, Mark.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm doing good. Now, see, you're still a little dark.
I don't know what it's this sunlight behind me. I don't know what to do.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So we've got so much to cover. So I want to start with this one. So Barron Trump, just in case somebody didn't know this, Barron Trump, I didn't realize they're saying that people had never heard his voice. And so there was a video that was released, I guess it was Friday night. And a lot of people were making a big deal saying this is the first video where you can hear Barron's voice. I don't know. I don't know if this is the first time, but let's take a look at the video. Now you got to be careful. You got to listen closely. And it's toward the very beginning of the video. So listen to what he's saying.
Yes, hello, how are you? I'm in the business. It's very nice to see you. Very nice. I gave him a shout out last night. The place went crazy.
How are you? It's very nice. Good to see you. You too, buddy.
Oh, you've never met him?
No.
Can we make him into a fighter?
Yeah, handsome fella, super duper tall.
Yeah, was he like 6'8"? I think he's like 6'8" or something like that. What I like about that scene right there is you could tell he's very cordial, very respectful. You can tell Trump's done a lot of work on him. President Trump has showing him how to meet people, how to greet people. You know, kind of like an ambassador type, if you will. I think he's going to have a very successful future ahead of him. I think also you may even see him in the White House at some point.
Yes, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I'm expecting it. Okay. Have you seen though where they're trying to say that, hey, he was advising Donald Trump, and a lot of people are trying to give him credit for Trump winning the election? I don't know if I believe that much. I'm sure he helped, but I don't know that I would believe that he was why Trump won. I'm sure,
Right.
it's a group team effort for many people.
Sure.
But I thought that was interesting. Okay, so I wanted to show you this video. I thought it was very interesting, and it's an interesting topic, but also tactic of President Trump. Let's take a look at "Let Him Fight It Out."
Where Taliban is here, ISIS is here, and they're fighting each other. I said, why don't you let them fight? Why are we getting in the middle of it? I said, let them fight. They're both our enemies. Let them fight. Sir, we want to do it. They go in and they end up fighting both of them. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, he's got a point. I mean, honestly, it's like they're here, they're there, they're clashing in the middle. Why are we getting involved? Why are we losing our guys and girls over this? Honestly, let them go. You know, it's kind of like the church we were talking about earlier. It's kind of like the church, the institutionalized church. They're all fighting right now. Let them go. Ultimately, they're turning on one another. They're going to take one another down. So let them go.
That's a great point. just let them go.
Let 'em go.
FR7 said, hello, Michelle Moore from Canada, just north of Dakota. I love it. Just north of North Dakota. My first time joining the live show. That's awesome.
Yeah. Can I say something on Canada real quick? They just had that article come out. One of their head guys up there, I can't remember what position he held, came out and said that they were going to start confiscating guns or whatever it was, and take those guns that were confiscated and send them to Ukraine so that they can fight with them over there. Let me say something to my Canadian brothers and sisters. God bless you guys. American patriots stand with you everywhere right now. Do not comply. Do not give up your guns. You will end up like Venezuela or our brothers and sisters in Australia. I'm sure they will back us up on this because they've even come out swinging when they got rid of their guns, knowing what happened. So do not give up your guns. You think you got a tyrannical government now? You have not seen anything until you give your guns up, period. It will be another Venezuela. Don't do it. So we are praying for you guys, and we stand with you guys.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Why is it that we're not able to ship into Canada right now? What's that about?
I don't know, honestly. I didn't. That's the
Okay.
first I'm hearing about it, honestly.
Yeah, we know there's some kind of a strike and we're not able to ship into Canada, and we're not really sure what's going on with that. So, anyways, and we asked the post office this morning, well, how will we know when we can ship into Canada again? And it said, watch the news. And I was like, oh no.
I haven't heard anything about it.
Yeah, I'm like, okay. Rhonda says, great parents, talking about Barron Trump, I'm sure. Yes, exactly. Exactly. She says, Michelle, I'm new as well. Thank you. And Mark as well. You're welcome, honey. So we got a lot of new subscribers, lots of new things. Y'all, you're in for such a treat. You don't even know it. We got so much good stuff going on. Okay, so the post office producer, Ron, she said, watch the news or Good Morning America, LOL. Yeah, we're not watching either. Okay, that's just funny. All right, last week, Mark, you said something that I had said to you when you said it. I was like, ooh, I want you to talk about this with my viewers when you're on the show next. So I made a note. Right. And so you were talking about there's a difference between negativity versus accountability. Sometimes I think people think that, someone's being negative on a topic or toward a person, and it's not necessarily that you're negative. I mean, we can talk in truth about just the realistic things, even about Trump, for example, but we both truly support him and are thankful that he won. And so, but there's also accountability. And so talk a little bit about negativity versus accountability.
So the negativity, a lot of people will accuse me, oh, Mark, you're just being negative about everything, this, that, and the other. And people have to understand something. I am a different type of prophetic voice. A lot of these false prophets, they're so used to the false prophets. This is the problem. We've been programmed and brainwashed into thinking they want to tickle our ears. That's not a true prophet of God. That's not a true prophetic voice. A true prophetic voice is going to speak the truth in the face of the enemy, no matter what it does. You don't get huge YouTube followings. You don't get all these endorsements. You don't have 19 different ways that you can give a donation and your live chat or this, that, and the other, super chat, you know what I mean? And call yourself and everybody loves you, but yet you call yourself a prophet. It doesn't work like that. That's not even the biblical model of it. A true prophet of God is going to get stoned. He's going to get threatened with death threats, all these different things. There's a difference in negativity and accountability. So when a true prophetic voice begins to hold someone accountable, speaking from God, holding someone accountable or a group of people accountable, they term it as negativity because they don't like accountability. It is human nature not to like accountability. And the problem is this: nobody has the spirit of the fear of the Lord. No one listens to the fear of the Lord, or no one has ever experienced the spirit of the fear of the Lord. When God came to me and that visitation that I had, I was under the spirit of the fear of the Lord. I know the Lord only gave me about the size of a grain of sand of the spirit of the fear of the Lord, but it felt like he could have vaporized me from existence. You know, Proverbs 8:13 says the fear of the Lord is to hate evil. The problem is this: we have come up in a society where we are now tolerating evil. We have inclusivity. We have all these different things, whether it's LGBTQ, whether it's whatever the topic may be for that time. It is evil, and we've been taught to, well, we have to love one another. That is a false unity. Are we to love people? Yes, we are.
Yes.
But we are to hate the sin.
Yeah.
The fear of the Lord is to hate evil. If you do not hate evil with everything that's within you, you don't have the fear of the Lord for the most part. And most of these pastors, and especially these so-called prophets, they've never been in the presence of the fear of the Lord. I've had people come and say, oh, well, you're supposed to test the spirits. How do you know it was the fear of the Lord? Let me tell you something. Just like Daniel, when the angel came to him, he fell as dead. Did it say scripturally he tested that spirit? No. Why? Because the angel, Gabriel, was standing in front of the throne of God or next to God, and he was in the presence of the fear of the Lord. The spirit of the fear of the Lord hit Daniel, and he fell as dead. Trust me, when you're under the spirit of the fear of the Lord, you aren't testing squat. Trust me when I tell you that, folks. It's not happening. Because you fall as dead. When I woke up from that, I was in a fetal position, literally like this, still feeling it for 15 minutes, and I could not open my eyes for fear of what I was going to see. So these people, they want to say, oh, well, you're being negative and negative, or you're saying this about Trump, or you're saying this about this pastor. No, it's God holding that individual or group of people accountable. You're just not accustomed to it because you've been brainwashed into thinking that this is negativity when in fact it's accountability. And none of the prophetic voices out there are talking about it. None of them that I know of.
Yeah, it's a good point. Lots of things we talk about here other people aren't talking about. Okay, so let's take a look at this gentleman. I guess they're going to call him a pastor, but it's LGBTQ plus train wreck is what producer Ron called him. So let's take a look.
Good morning, y'all. My name is Russian Kimball. My pronouns are he, him, his. I have the privilege of serving as the pastor of Broadway United Methodist Church in downtown Orlando. And also my drag name is still a work in progress. So if you have any ideas, just please let me know. There's one floating around, but I'm not going to share that one with you. But I'm still taking other suggestions.
Okay, so first off, I was born and raised in Orlando. All right, and so I don't live there now. I haven't lived there in 26 years. But that's where I was on the Orlando Fire Department. I know the history behind Orlando and everything that's going on here. Look, we're to love the people, but we hate the sin. This kind of stuff should not be going on in the churches. Period. Look, and I'll go into how we pray here in a second because somebody asked that question a minute ago. And so, but here's the thing. The LGBTQ stuff started in Orlando. The pride flag started with Glenda Hood, who was the Republican mayor of Orlando years and years ago. She was the first one to fly them, I think, in the entire country. People can look that up. They can do their own research. But that's what opened the door. Orlando is another San Francisco. That's all it. People don't realize how bad it actually is in Orlando. You got Mayor Buddy Dyer there, who's been there for I don't know how many years, almost 30 years as a mayor. And the only reason this guy keeps getting in, I think, is because of cheating or because of the demographic there. But the fact of the matter is that Orlando is another San Francisco, but this is what's going on in the churches. This is why the churches are under judgment right now. This stuff should not be happening. Every time we come on here, we're showing stuff like this. where LGBTQ has infiltrated the churches, have taken over, and it's supposed to be a good thing. And we're just supposed to be tolerant, or we're supposed to be inclusive. And if we don't, they say, oh, well, you're not dealing in love and in unity. No, we hate the sin. We love the person, but we hate the sin. And it's our job to pray that sin out of existence or to help deliver that person from that sin. That's our job. But here's what's fixing to happen. I've got actually multiple prophecies. I don't have time to even go through them. But people are asking, how do I pray about stuff like this? Because we're going to go into the Daystar stuff here in a minute. I've got 2 different prophecies here they can go and print off for free. One is Wolves in Sheep's Clothing, which is January 7th, 2021, which talks about these wolves in sheep's clothing, like these individuals you're seeing on these videos are here, folks. They're leading the masses astray, okay? No different than the false prophets and pastors. And then I have another one, January 28th, 2022, called Judgment Has Begun. And in that one, I'll skip to the point here where it gets to where it says that right here, it said, yeah, I will destroy. Do not look back at Lot's wife did. He's talking about coming out of her now. My judgment has begun. Do not look back as Lot's wife did, for I will destroy the very system the apostate church has become and fornicated with. So as it was for Sodom and Gomorrah, so it will be for the whore and the old religious system that has fornicated and protected her to lead my people astray. Some churches, ministries, lodges, orders, and their man-made kingdoms will burn to the ground. Others will go bankrupt. Some leaders will be removed from the face of the earth. Why aren't they listening? Because their pride has handed them over to a reprobate mind. Being handed over to a reprobate mind is part of the judgment. Their arrogance knows no bounds. Repentance will save your soul, but it will not stop my justice from being served. Some will say, this is an attack on Christianity. No, this is my judgment on the corrupt system that man put in place, not I, the Lord God. So they can go and print these off. We don't have time to read these on the air right now. They can print them off for free, where God says he's going to burn some of these ministries literally to the ground. Some will close their doors, will go bankrupt. Others, I believe, people will lose interest because of people waking up and seeing what's going on, because we've all been deceived by these guys. We've all been deceived by giving money to a lot of these mega ministries, the mega pastors and this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
And where people are waking up. We all have to wake up.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. And your website where they can print those prophecies
is swordrescue.com, SORD rescue.com. There you go. It's up on the website, up on your screen there.
Yeah. All right. That's interesting. And so good. I highly recommend people go to see that.
But see, also, there's where we're talking about accountability. What is God saying in these? That's not negativity, guys. That's accountability, that God is holding a group of people, his people, because where does judgment start? In the house of the Lord first. God cannot judge the wicked until he judges his own people. And the judgment is now. This is why we're seeing like T.D. Jakes having a stroke on stage. This is why we're seeing all these people. God showed me a long time ago that they were having brain issues, whether it's strokes, it could be Parkinson's, it could be dementia, whatever the case may be, because they're operating out of their intellect. They're part of the world. They're not operating out of truth and spirit and truth.
Okay. All right. Mark's website is also in today's show description. So want to just remind everybody, everything you almost ever need is always in the show description. If you go to the Michelle Moore Show Rumble channel and go into the show description, everything will be there for you. Okay. All right. Let's go on ahead and move on. The next one is, have you heard what's happening on Christmas Eve coming up here? Let's take a look at this video. It's very interesting. Can't wait to hear what you think about this.
The Vatican is going to live stream from a tomb. It's St. Paul's tomb right next to the tomb of Lucifer for the first time in history. While they open this holy door, they call it the holy door. It's bricked off, like it's a brick wall. From what I could find online, it's apparently filled with like a bunch of stuff. I don't know if anyone has access to that stuff when they open the door. Maybe some Catholics can chime in and let me know, like, do they actually show you what's behind the door, or do they just open the door? Either way, this is pretty much the first time in history that the general public is going to be able to witness them opening this what they call the holy door in a tomb under the Vatican. And I guess this time, I don't know, maybe you can chime in on this too, but like I guess this time they have the Masons, so it'll be the Pope and the Masons will be like chanting some hymn or something while the Pope, you know, does his thing before they break down the wall and open this door, the holy door. There's a lot of weird things happening this year. I'm just saying this could be something to watch. That's all I'm going to say, because I don't want my TikTok taken down. But all the information's available. They are going to live stream it, so you can watch it. And it's going to be on Christmas Eve when they're going to open this door.
I don't know why that kept stopping and starting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look, I don't like the sound of that, because she kept saying, "Open the holy door." I wrote it down here. See, they're going to open the holy door. I don't like the sound of that at all. It's almost like CERN super collider. You know, to me, warrants a military response. To be honest with you, they need to shut that thing down, because they're opening gates, portals, and doors in the spiritual realm, these other dimensions that we're not supposed to be going into. That sounds like what they're trying to do here through some type of a ritual, if you will. And we all know how dark the Vatican is, anyway.
Well, it was closed all this time for a reason, right? I mean, like that's what I'm thinking.
Well, I mean, again, they can go back and print off these words for free, and you know, it talked about all roads lead to Rome is the one, and you know, so I don't know. It just, there's a shaking and a quaking coming to this Pope in the Vatican, and God said, "I will split the Vatican and its leadership wide open for the entire world to see the inner workings of this ancient beast." Well, when you think about it, she's exposing it. That's splitting it open for the entire world to see. It's you know, so I mean,
Girly Grandma says it is wickedness. It has to be.
Yep.
I'm with
Yep.
Girly Grandma.
Yep.
I'm like, something ain't right. And it's been closed all this time for something. And why are you going to do that? And why on Christmas Eve? I'm just, the whole thing. And the Masons are there.
Yeah.
Like,
and they're chanting. So this is a ritual to open some type of a gate, door, or portal, if you will, in another dimension is what this is.
Let's just say this. Nobody said the name of Jesus anywhere in all of this, and nobody's talking about it. So I'm wondering where Jesus is in all of this. Where's the good?
Yeah.
And so, you know, something's up and it ain't good.
And nothing about this Pope is good. Nothing about the Vatican is good, because the institutionalized church as a system, what people have to remember, connect the dots here, the institutionalized system answers to who? The Pope. Just like Kenneth Copeland answers to the Pope. He's I believe, my personal opinion, he's the highest ranking Jesuit in the land, which is why you saw certain individuals there with the Reawaken tour.
You think Kenneth Copeland is the highest ranking?
Yeah, absolutely.
You
because
think
when they come to do the one world religion, when they pull the trigger, these false pastors, these mega pastors are only there for one reason. And that is to say, it's okay, guys, come on in for the sake of unity. It's okay to come into the one world religion. That's the only reason these guys are in place by the three-letter agencies, because all these guys are three-letter agencies. They're either they're mind controlled, Project Stargate, Looking Glass, MK Ultra, you know, Project Monarch. That's why these guys were put in position, that when they pull the trigger on the one world religion, they're there to say, "Come on in, guys, it's okay." Now they have a triune. They have the Pope at the top. They have an Islamic imam, which we don't know who that is, but they already signed a contract years ago with Islam being a part of this one world religion. What they have not filled in yet is the evangelical side, and I believe Kenneth Copeland is the evangelical side of that one world religion. When he dies, because it was Billy Graham, when he died, it went to Kenneth Copeland. When Kenneth Copeland dies, it'll go to somebody else who I believe will be Joel Osteen. That's just me. That's my opinion.
Interesting. Okay. I had been told a few years back from a very good source that it was TD Jakes that's very high up with all of this.
Who has all the money?
I'll have to ask.
All the money.
Well, TD Jakes doesn't have all the planes that Kenneth Copeland does.
Kenneth Copeland's worth over $1 billion, guys. Now, he says some of that's because of his own oil and gas on his own property. That could be. What's $1 billion to the Vatican? To put someone in place, to infiltrate and put them in place and train them up? Sorry. Nope. Because why did Kenneth Copeland bless the Pope? He had 4 or 5 years ago, he did an entire video thing on blessing the Pope, live feed with the Pope, or this, that, and the other. That's why he answers to no one but the Pope. Why did Mike Flynn show up and say, "Hey, this is General Flynn"? He say, "Oh, this is the real general"? Why did he tell Kenneth Copeland this is the real general? And they both saluted one another. because I think even Mike Flynn knows he's the highest ranking one in the land.
Who said this is the real general? Flynn said that about Kenneth Copeland?
Yep. Yep.
Oof. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Lot to take in there. Darla Ann 888 says it's so heartbreaking to see what's happening to the church. I stopped going a long time ago, felt like a waste of time. I learned more about God at home. B. Shanes says, why did President Trump allow Kenneth Copeland on stage to pray?
That's a good question, because I questioned that as well, because, I look, this is where I kind of disagree with the president. As much as I love and respect him, if he is trying to bring notoriety to someone to expose them, like a lot of people have said, I don't agree with the tactics in this case, because the problem is you're giving the man credibility worldwide, because Trump is the most powerful voice on the planet right now. And to bring someone up on stage and allow them to pray like that, now what has to happen is someone has to go back up on that stage on those same airwaves and repent and renounce the words that he allowed Kenneth Copeland to speak over the nation. Because we all know who Kenneth Copeland and what he is. So now that has to be repented for and renounced. So who's going to do it? Paula White? Rodney Howard Brown? No, because they're all part of it. Now, could Trump be exposing him? Yes, he could. I'm not going to take that away. I don't agree with it, because this show has gone on for so long now.
Yeah.
Because just like his spiritual advisory board, he brings credibility to these people. And these people are not good people, period.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go on to the next thing. I want to talk about Michael Brown for a minute here and what that ended up bringing. Now, can you explain the details? Because I want to make sure I've got it correct. And so just so that everybody knows and I can kind of catch them up, Mark and I were talking prior to the show, and we got to talk about a number of things that are going on, being reported, that all has to do with different pastors, the faith-based community, and this, church. And so one of the things that we got to talk about was Michael Brown and the Prophetic Accountability Committee. So I'm not familiar with this committee, and I'm not familiar. So were you saying that Michael Brown started this committee?
I believe so. Don't quote me on that. I know he was sending out a petition for people to sign. This all started, I believe, back in when Trump won the 2020 election. He didn't lose it; he won it.
Yeah.
And then they were coming down heavy on prophetic voices like me. They weren't mentioning my name, but I knew who they were talking about. And then all of a sudden, everybody started coming forth, like Jeremiah Johnson, and they were talking about how they were going to, they were apologizing for getting it wrong. You didn't get it wrong. Period. Trump won the election. I never apologized. I refused to apologize because the man still won. He won the election. I'm not going to apologize. He won it. So why would I apologize as a prophetic voice for something that God gave me? So now all these guys who apologized, I feel like God is saying, you need to repent because you didn't stand on the word of God that God gave you, period. So what does Michael Brown do? He starts this accountability board, if you will, where now you have to sign up. And so if your name's not on the list, apparently, your words don't count. So this is another way. In other words, you're just not going to get recognized. Your words don't count. They have to go before an accountability board. Cindy Jacobs and that whole bunch over there, they're doing the whole same thing again. They're attacking some prophetess over there in Scotland. I don't even know the whole story. Don't even care because all these people, I don't even listen to them. It's ridiculous.
So you're saying, so I want to make sure that I understand this, because if I am, it's complete insanity. So what you're saying is that somebody has appointed themselves some kind of a prophetic accountability, committee.
Yeah.
And in this committee is going to take a word that you've said, or not you specifically, but anybody that has a word from the Lord, and they're going to get to decide if it's genuine or not. Or legitimate or not?
Yeah, something along those lines. Don't quote me on that. It was I have to go back. That was years ago that this happened. This was back, 4 years ago. So I'd have to go back and look the exact wording. But basically, in a roundabout way, yes, that was it. So, it's another way to control people, just like they did me in the beginning. And
wait a minute. So Laughing at the Sky said, nope, that was Cindy Jacobs and the Apostolic Council of Prophetic Elders, whom Michael Brown sent it to address. And
he
he drew up the letter and sent it to that group. But what was the letter about?
The letter was about these guys. Michael Brown he went on television. He went public saying how he was scrutinizing all of us prophetic voices who said Trump was going to win and didn't win. That's where it started. He could have sent that later on to her. But originally, there was a list of people. If you look back far enough, you will find that list of people. And I even came out publicly and said that anybody that signs that list will be a false prophet, because they're asking for stuff that is not even biblical, period. You're
What's
putting
the list
together
about?
the list. In other words, again, you have to sign up on the list or you're not recognized, or your prophetic words.
To have, like, you're on this list because you're going to sign up and say, I
Yes.
receive words from the Lord. And so I need to be validated by you, the committee.
It was something along those lines. Again, I'm paraphrasing all of this.
Yes,
So I
sure.
can't get into the weeds with this because I don't have it. It was so long ago. But
Okay.
again, these guys were going on an apology tour. I was the only one that didn't apologize, and I'm still not going to, because it will come out that he won this election. Trust me, it'll come out. And what's going to happen now? Are you going to apologize for apologizing? Out that Trump won? Because it's going to come out.
All right. So Laughing at the Sky says that Apostolic Council of Prophetic Elders, Cindy Jacobs, ... took that letter from Brown, talking about Michael Brown, and sent it out as if they are the good or the grand poobahs.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. And they're doing it again. Cindy Jacobs is doing it again right now because they're all attacking this lady. Now, granted, she's probably in the wrong over there. Don't get me right. Don't get me wrong on this. But it's the fact that they set themselves up. Who sets these guys up in these positions? That's my question. Who appointed you? Because look, they tried to control me. This is all about control, guys. This is no different than having a handler. Okay, this is no different than all of your mega pastors have handlers. You know, even Q said, look to the wives. Yeah, well, it's true. Look at Joel Osteen, Victoria Osteen. I believe that's his handler. That's just my opinion. But look at her dad. Who was her dad? Her dad worked with the GE missile project with none other than Werner von Braun. When you look at these guys, who have had high military contacts, who was Paula White's stepdad? He was a high-level Navy admiral. Who was Joyce Myers' dad? I can't find anything on Joyce Myers' dad. It's like they wiped the internet with that. I think
he was a police officer.
But he was also military at some point. But here we go again. So follow the wives. Look what they were into. Look what their dads were into. High-level NASA is another one. They're all MK Ultra guys, the mind control.
Yep.
So
Jeff Bezos' stepfather was from NASA. I heard Joyce Myers' testimony years ago. Which never made sense to me, but that's just me. I'm like, how could anybody be this stupid? But I'm going to explain that because I just said that out loud. So let me explain what I have never understood about her testimony since I made that statement. So her story is that her father was a police officer and that he would take her to the park and he would sell her to other police officers and other people and for sexual favors. And so, which horrific. Well, then knowing that he did that to her when she had 2 daughters, guess who she let be alone with her daughters? Her father. How in the world would you be that stupid? And guess what happened? Trouble happened there too. And so it's just like, so I've never understood it. But now that you said some of the stuff you said, it's like, okay, I think I'm starting to connect a couple of dots here that I didn't necessarily know enough about.
It's a system of control. What do you do with MK Ultra? You traumatize the child, then you MK Ultra them. You program them. Trauma is used for the MK Ultra, guys. People got to start digging into this stuff.
Yes. Formation of America on Kathy O'Brien's website. It's her book, but who writes the first quite a few chapters is Mark Phillips, the man that saved her. He explains about this. He explains the science, how the brain works. I'm telling you, I highly recommend this book. It's called Trance, and then the subtitle is Formation of America. It's long. Kathy O'Brien's books are long, but and they've been edited and manipulated. So you have to buy it direct from her website. But I have to tell you this, that book was the first book that I read on MK Ultra, and it set me up to understand so many things at a different level. Because I understood the science and the brain and all of that. And that's Mark Phillips, the man that she ended up with and all of that. So you learn a lot of good information. Now, look, there's some horrific stuff in that book, But boy, I mean, I was shaking at times because this was early on in my walk of really, waking up. But oh my goodness, but it does help you to understand. Now, Kathy also has always said that even back in the 80s, she was told to stay away from Donald Trump, that he was not one of them. And so, anyways, but she has been here on the show a number of times as well. And she was sold into the MK Ultra mind control, who spells control with a K, the Germans, not Americans.
Yep.
So MK stands for mind control. And just in case you didn't know, and Mark is absolutely right. It's a great point. You got to know these things. And that is an excellent place to start. Highly, highly recommend starting there before you read anybody else's testimonials.
That and Fritz Springmeier.
Yes.
Fritz Springmeier is unbelievable, the amount of depth and detail he has in his books. They're lengthy, they're expensive, but they're worth the read, guys. But again, connect the dots. All these ministries are from 3-letter agencies. They're behind the pulpits. These are government agents. These are whoever they are. They've been MK Ultra, Project Stargate, Project Looking Glass, remote viewers, clairvoyants, psychics, all these different things. And they're put there for a reason. So when they pull the trigger on the one world religion, they're there to say, okay, guys, come on in for the sake of unity. It's okay. That's why you're seeing the false unity take place right now. And it's coming through. I hate to say this. It's coming through. A lot of it is coming through the patriotic movement, which is where the mixture comes in. We'll get into the mixture later. But the point is that these churches are all connected to the Vatican.
Yeah.
The church system.
I'm reading a Fritz Springmeier book right now, and I've actually read another one, but this one Melissa recommended. But I'm going to say, just my opinion is that start with Kathy O'Brien's book, because Kathy O'Brien's book gives you the straight from one of the leading experts from that perspective, but also you start learning about the different ways that the system works. From a behind the scenes, how she got sold and what happened. And it gives you an applicable source there. Fritz Springmeier's books, to me, I think it's the next step. I think you start with Kathy, then you read Fritz, because that's a whole nother level. Yep. And then things will make more sense to you, because as I read his book, because of the information that I know, it helps me to really get what he's saying on a whole nother level. And so, anyways, I hope it helps everybody. Jay Ruff says, amen, Mark. Everything that you're saying makes 100% sense. I am completely aligned with you and what you're explaining. All right, so we're going to keep going. So you got the Apologia tour that you addressed in here, just in case people didn't know what you're referring to. Many people came forward that said that they were prophetic and said that they had a word. And this was before the 2020 election. And they said, Trump's going to win. And one of the biggest ones was Jeremiah Johnson at the time. That was just, Trump's winning. And then when supposedly Trump didn't win, which I was shocked at how many people went around apologizing. And so one person that I know for a fact wouldn't give in, and still to this day has not, the only one I know of is you. And you're like, I'm not apologizing. And so, and praise God for that. I do get prophetic words at times, and I know what I hear. And so if I heard something like that, and then I shared it, and then something in the natural looks like it didn't happen, it's like, well, I don't know what to tell you, but I know what I heard. These people flipped like fish so quick. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah. And look, and it's like if I took the 501c3 prophecy, people have wanted me to, or the Obama prophecy, when I called Obama out, that was the falling out between me and my co-author right there. That's what started it all right there. And was the Obama prophecy saying that he was going to go down, period. And so that started it all. Why would I apologize for something that God gave me as a prophetic voice? No, that's like apologizing. That's like taking a Bible, holding the Bible up in scripture and saying, I apologize for this, guys, because I got it wrong out of scripture, this, that, and the other. Apologizing for God's word. No. Am I saying that my prophetic words are scripture? No, it's not what I'm saying. So don't misunderstand me. What I'm saying is when God gives me something as a prophetic voice, I am to stand on it, period. It doesn't matter what happens, no matter how much time has to go by before it comes to pass. These guys are going to have to re-apologize for apologizing. I'm telling you now, because God's going to hold them accountable. He is going to hold them accountable because he gave them a word and they did not stand on it. They literally caved in to the enemy. Period.
That's right.
That's like the 501c3 prophecy. Oh, Mark, you need to apologize for that. You're out of your ever-loving mind. You think I'm going to apologize for something God told me to prophesy, to speak, or to what I've written? You're out of your mind. It's not happening.
Yeah, it's interesting. Okay, so we'll see what happens. I just think it's interesting. Okay, so I wanted to make sure people knew and understood that, though, what was going on there.
Well, but
And
he was also being accused of sexual impropriety now, and now he's taking a break from ministry as Michael Brown. That's where we forgot to go with that. That's the headline that's coming out with him right now. Now, what that is? Oh, there you go. Right, it is. Producer Ron, you're on it, buddy. I love you, man.
Yeah. So, following sexual misconduct allegations, Michael Brown to take time off from public ministry.
Right. So again, now is it true? Don't know. That's not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about here, guys, is that these ministries are getting exposed one after the next, after the next, after the next. And people are starting to catch on. And that's the prophetic words that God's given us here that are coming to pass. Now, someone in the comments, I'm glad they asked this. Someone said, Mark, how should we pray about this stuff like with Daystar and this? And we're going to get into Daystar now, I'm sure, probably. But how do we pray about this stuff? Here's what I tell people. These prophetic words are for free, guys. Print them off. Those are your target-focused prayers. Remember, God talked about target-focused prayers, target-focused repentance. We don't just generalize things. We have to get detailed. These prophetic words are detailed, telling you what's going on in these ministries. Look, pray that God busts these ministries wide open for every piece of corruption that they are a part of, expose it, and take it down, period. It's as simple as that. These people are not our friends when they're into this stuff. And it's not that we don't love them. We love the people. We hate the sin. The problem is you got Jezebels out here running these ministries who are literally making millions upon millions of dollars in these ministries. And we're going to hear an audio here in a minute. It's really going to come to light. But they're making millions of dollars off of people, gullible people like we all have been in the past, until people start waking up and learning and stop sending your money to these people. These people are criminals. Most of these people are criminals.
Yeah. Yes. Now, Chris Reed, was he the one that you said had admitted that to a sexual misconduct back in 2021?
He's part of Rick Joyner's ministries. And listen, guys, I'm going to say something too. Look, I have followed some of these guys, and it breaks my heart for some of these guys.
Yeah,
it really does, because I hate Rick's going through that, because I actually met Rick and I've talked to him on the phone. And so it breaks my heart that some of these ministries are going through this. But the problem is God is holding every man, woman, and child, even you, even me, accountable right now for everything, because judgment starts with his people first. Then he will judge the unrighteous.
That's right. And so, and now he's starting a church. Is Chris Reed starting? Did you say he was starting a church?
I saw a headline. He had left and was starting his own church or something like that. I don't have to go back and look at the headline.
So, that's interesting. I don't know the details to the 2021 incident, but that's very interesting. Okay. Also, I want to take a moment. So many probably haven't seen or heard or know about your story as to just what happened to you, where you were told, oh, you can have the mansions, the cars, the watches, all the boats, all the stuff, if you'll just write your prophecies down and submit them to us first. And so tell about that.
Yeah. So it started over the Obama prophecy. They had gone down, my co-author and them had gone down to Maldonado's church, I think it was, and people were coming up to them saying, hey, why is Mark Taylor prophesying against Obama? That's not right. He shouldn't be doing that. He should apologize, or this, this, that, and the other. I'm like, out of your mind. I'm not apologizing. And so she started to attack me publicly, even when the movie was coming out after the book. So I know the producer had to come out and basically verbally tell her to cease and desist, this, that, and the other. And it didn't stop. And so I went through hell and back, literally, even with the movie, because the movie wasn't what I knew when the second they went to Liberty University that it wasn't going to go anywhere at that point. I think there was a bunch of issues with the movie as well. That's another story. Anyhow, after a month and a half in this, I'd had enough, and I took a witness, and I had a laundry list of stuff on a list. I met with them face to face, and I was there to tell them that basically I'm cutting all ties to you people. I want nothing to do with you. And here's the reasons why. And I went right down the list, and the stuff that came out of these people's mouths was just like something out of a movie. I couldn't believe it. I actually sat back in my chair and I'm like, am I actually hearing this? And 3 times out of their mouths, it was like, this is a Christian business. This is a Christian business, not a ministry, a Christian business. You can have boats, cars, lands, money. You can have it all. He said, but you have to submit your words to us, and we're going to submit it to other people before you release them.
Who would they submit to?
She wanted her to be Rick Joyner. I said no. She told me that she'd already talked to him. I knew better. Called him on the phone. He said, no, I didn't talk to them. I knew the man's heart at the time. I knew he wouldn't do that. He wouldn't do that. So absolutely. So I said, you're out of your mind. I'm not submitting to anybody. I said, I don't answer to your authority. I don't fall under your authority. I fall under one. That's it. The Lord Jesus Christ, who is the spirit of prophecy, period. So we're done. And I was done.
That's a
so
lot.
I followed biblical protocol. I had a witness with me. That was it. Done. Over.
That's a lot to take in. Okay, KM Sunshine 1974 said Mark is on fire. I've been following Mark since he was on the TV ministries. That was a long time ago. Such a good, godly man. That's right. You want to say anything about that?
Well, the TV ministries I've been blacklisted from?
Yeah.
that had a lot to do with the same individual, believe it or not.
Oh, okay. So it goes back to that because you wouldn't submit.
Yep.
So they had that much pull.
Absolutely.
Because they're all in the same pot,
they're
or
all
what?
in it. They're all in it. They had that much pull. I know that because I had someone come to me from the movie people telling me what was going on behind my back. They were calling producers, telling them not to have me on the show.
Oh, of the networks. Producers have been. Oh, wow.
So I had someone high up in the movie industry because they got the phone call.
Yeah.
And they confronted them with it.
Wow.
They came to me with it.
So when the movie released, did you have a hard time getting on any of the networks and promoting the show?
I never went on any networks. They did one national television show, which was on Jim Baker's show with them, not with me.
Wow.
And I was told to get ready because we were going to be doing all kinds of publicity.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Nope, not one time. Not once.
Wow.
I was too controversial of a voice at that point.
Okay.
So trust me, guys, this stuff is real. It goes on behind the scenes. It's an entire network that goes on behind the scenes. It's all about
what you said, money. They said it's a business.
It goes back to money. It goes back to business. It's big business. It's the same. Look, it's the same MO. When they find someone who's halfway accurate, let's just say, they're just half accurate, they grab them, just like Elijah List or any of these other people out here. Elijah List wanted me to come up and write for them. I had the email years ago, and I said, I'm not writing with you guys. I didn't even answer them back. I knew who these guys were. So Elijah List or any of these other people, and notice they were part of the Reawaken tour as well. Elijah List was, but it's all part of the same thing. They find someone, they latch on because they think they can make money with it. They give them a book, or they very rare do you get a movie deal, but the movie didn't go anywhere, which I knew it wouldn't. But they give them a book deal or this, that, and the other, and that's it. But the thing was, the book deal kind of backfired on them on this particular deal because of who I had as my publisher. And thank God, praise God for Tom Horn and Defender Publishing. Hence the term Defender Publishing. That's all I'm going to say on that.
Yeah. Yeah. God bless him. Okay. So talking about all of this, we also have the Julie Roy's stuff. So she has been reporting, and she has a tweet that she puts out, and I see it. I send it to Mark, and we want to show it to you because it includes a video. So we're going to show you the video. But what she's talking about is how many times with Joni Lamb, of course, and Jimmy Evans, who's a pastor, how many times in one meeting, they supposedly tell Jonathan Lamb and his wife, Susie Lamb, to submit. And it was 105 times. Let's listen to just a 30-second clip of what is said. I think actually what this clip says, there's something else in here that I think is just as bad than repeatedly being told to submit. But let's take a listen.
It means she's the voice of God to you. What she says is God in Daystar. This is the voice of God in Daystar.
Okay, so this is Jimmy Evans talking, obviously, to Jonathan and Susie Lamb. So for those that don't know, Jonathan Lamb is the oldest child I think the only son of Marcus Lamb, who has passed away, and his wife, Joni. And so Joni is in a meeting, and there's been some things going on with the family back and forth over Susie and Jonathan's little girl. And somebody that works there at Daystar, and it sounds like it may be somehow related to the family, but it's a male, and we know that. They haven't disclosed the name. As far as I'm aware, they still haven't disclosed it. But they're saying that, this little girl, there's something going on. Exactly how far it's gone, I don't know. But there's proof of, as far as Jonathan walking in and seeing the little girl, undressed, and the man saying, I'm sorry, repeatedly, and all this kind of stuff. So Jonathan and Susie are in a room in a meeting in this audio. That's what you're hearing with Joni, which is Jonathan's mother, the mother-in-law to Susie, and the grandmother. Joni is also the grandmother to the little girl. And then you have this man, Jimmy Evans, who's a pastor, and he's in this meeting. And so this is the voice you're hearing in the beginning.
Submission means she's the voice of God to you. What she says is God in Daystar. This is the voice of God in Daystar.
Wait a minute,
Jonathan. She's the voice of God in Daystar.
No.
She is God's voice to you here on this property and related to Daystar Network. She is God's voice. You submit to her with a right spirit. You submit. You have to submit. Either you submit or you don't.
We'll leave if you don't submit to me. You'll submit to me. You'll submit to my authority. That's all. I don't want to hear anything else. Yes, Mom, I'll submit to you.
Whatever she says moving forward is God.
Yeah.
Been there, done that. Listen, let me tell you something. I kind of feel sorry for this guy, and in some aspects I don't.
Which guy?
Kind of the son. I feel sorry for him in the sense that he was not programmed, but he was brainwashed into thinking that he has to submit to that authority. That is corrupt authority when that stuff's going on behind the scenes. Like I've said before on the last show, if that was going on with my kid, we'd be taking that authority out in the parking lot. I'd be handling it the old-fashioned way.
I'll
deal with the fallout later. That's as simple as that. But the point is, and if that guy is responsible for this, it should be the death penalty, by the way, because pedophiles should have the death penalty, which is what I believe Trump's going to bring back. But however, I don't feel sorry for him in a way because he waited too long to act. He should have acted a long time ago on this. But again, you weigh that with, okay, he's been brainwashed his whole life into thinking he's got to submit to this, and that is corrupt authority.
Yeah.
Where does God say you submit to something with that kind of corruption going on behind the scenes? Nowhere.
Yeah.
It is your responsibility to act and to stand up and do something with this. So how do you pray, guys, against this stuff? You pray that God blows this stuff wide open and exposes every piece of corruption going on in these ministries and takes these ministries down if he has to. But leave it in God's hands. As far as what the judgment is up to God. But you heard in these prophecies, he's going to burn some to the ground, literally burn them to the ground. Some will go bankrupt. Others will close their doors because they'll lose interest. But that's how you pray with these guys, against these guys.
Yeah. The truth, be revealed. The light is revealed and reveals all the darkness,
But do you see how the brainwashing is going on there? You must submit to me. That is Jezebel in the highest order right there. Because Jezebel has to have all the attention, she has to have all the glory, and she has to be in charge. And the worst thing you could ever do to a Jezebel, because I've dealt with too many of them, is ignore them.
Mm-hmm.
Ignore them and walk away. Don't even give them the time of day. They can't stand it. It drives her insane. But the point is, these guys, I'm glad and I'm prayerful to see these guys are exposing what's going on in Daystar. TBN and CBN will probably be next, because once these guys start, it's like a snowball going downhill effect. People start jumping on now. They'll get the courage to come forward, which they should have done years ago. That's nor here nor there, but they'll get the courage to come forward. And some of these other ones, like the Victory Channel, all these other ones will start going down.
Okay. All right. I've got one last thing I want to show you and discuss in front of everybody and with the viewers. But first, Nature Boy 32 says Obama was having a severe stuttering issue when describing how Trump wants to weaponize the DOJ. I thought it was already weaponized. Yeah, Trump wants to.
And I think I have a prophetic word that says that he won't be able to get a word out of his mouth when they come for him. Stuttering. He won't be able to put a sentence together. Well, there it is.
Rhonda says Matt Crouch brother just spoke out. I guess you're saying his brother, Matt Crouch's brother spoke out. I don't know what that's about. I hadn't heard anything about that, but okay, I'm sure we'll probably know something or more about that between now and next week. Also, so I saw a video clip from Emma Catherine. This is right in line with what we've been talking about today, things being exposed, people coming forward, telling the truth. This is right in line. Also, this man's testimony reminds me of another man's testimony that I heard back right before I read that book I was telling you guys about, written by Kathy O'Brien, called Transformation of America. So let's take a look. This is Emma Catherine had a guest on, and he shares about being sexually abused as a very young child. Let's hear it real quick.
But anyhow, that's my life up to 3 years old. Then at 3 years old, there was a very big ritual done on me. Basically, it happened in a church, and I always remember it because there was double stained glass windows with two angels looking down at me, and I was basically put on an altar, and that's when I was first raped, 3 years old, and that was the beginning of my sexual journey. After that happened, I was then given to the Freemasons, who signed the contract on me, and then they just basically were trafficking me. From 4 years old, I was being trafficked by the Freemasons, and yeah, to 18, 19 years old, that was happening.
Okay, so Emma Catherine actually had a tweet and that included that video clip. And the tweet, Emma wrote and quoted this gentleman and said, his name's David, says, at 3 years old, there was a big satanic ritual done on me in a church, ... I was put on an altar, and then that was when I was first raped. After that happened, I was then given to the Freemasons, who trafficked me from 4 years old until 18 or 19 years old. Satanic ritual abuse and Freemason survivor, David. And so that's the older gentleman, and a woman named Carol. I don't know if that's his wife or what the situation is there, but it was the title of that show is called Surviving the Unthinkable: From Ritualistic Darkness to Spiritual Recovery. But where did this happen? It was in a church, on an altar.
In the churches, guys. This is a global network of ministries, churches that are doing the child trafficking, satanic ritual abuse, human trafficking. It doesn't matter. It's all it all falls under who? Go back to the triune. It falls under the Pope. It falls under the Vatican. It's under that triune. This is a global thing that's going on right now, that's being exposed right now. But unfortunately, we're having to start at the bottom, kind of working our way up here, exposing some of these people. But I mean, at some point, these people, like the Daystar, it's going to come to light what they're into and what's been going on behind the scenes.
Yeah. Well, and it seems that Jonathan, it's my understanding from everything that I've read and been watching, and I haven't followed it super close. I did it first, but I kind of let it, fell back some on that and said, okay, we'll see how this kind of shakes out in a few weeks. But it looked like to me, and sounds like to me, from what he was saying and something I was listening to, he really initially started paying a lot of attention to the finances and had some questions about the finances and spent a year digging into finances. So of the ministry after his father died. So I'm not sure what all that sounds like or what that leads to or what it was leading to, what questions he was asking about. But then it's come out that when Joni Lamb got remarried, that there was a 6-figure honeymoon. So, how do you spend $100,000 on a honeymoon? I don't even know how that's possible. I mean, no place is worth that. And how long were they gone? A year? And so I just don't understand that. So if that's true, that's disgusting. That's despicable. I don't understand why the ministry would be paying for the honeymoon in the first place if that is the case. So it'll be interesting to see what else comes out about that and those details, because I would say that's an abuse of funds and disgusting. And again, going back to what the church is doing is just
Right.
not in line with the Lord.
It's all about money. It's all about glory, and it's all about power. Period. That's what these ministries are about. It's all about
Look at-
getting the masses and leading them astray to the one world religion, guys. That's what this is about. Believe it or not, this is a government op.
This goes back to where you said, that people are missing the fear of the Lord.
Yeah, they have no fear of the Lord. If you had the fear of the Lord, you would no way, shape, form, or fashion be doing what you're doing right now. No way.
Never. Be too scared. Scared straight.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, so I did want to go back and say, Rhonda said Matt Crouch, his brother, just spoke out. Yes, about Matt. So I don't know what that is about. I'm sure somebody will know, and we'll look into that as well for next week. But okay, so before Mark goes, we wanted to show you one more video. We wanted to show you something good, and then we'll get Mark's final thoughts. Here we go.
Nice to meet you. Hey, how are you? It was a great feeling, and we did a good job. Yes, we did. We did a good job. And you're a handsome guy. Come on, let's go.
That's the key for this. That's messing up, sir. So one second. The photo's messing up.
Precious.
Yep, cute kid.
That little boy's precious.
It just shows you the president's heart. You know what I mean?
Yes.
To take time out with a little child like that. I mean,
It's precious.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Well, any final thoughts? Anything that you'd like to share before we say bye for the week?
Yeah, somebody had said, remind us where we can find and get Mark's prophetic words. It's swordrescue.com, guys. Print it off for free. Use those as your target focus prayers with this stuff. I mean, again, and again, you can add to it. You can take away whatever you want. Wherever the Lord leads. But God is in the exposing this stuff right now. This stuff's coming to an end, or it's coming to a head right now. It really is.
That's right. That's right. And you know what? It's a good thing. I mean, anytime light is shined onto the darkness,
that's right,
and cast that darkness out.
It's getting ugly and we warned about justice. Everybody's crying. We want justice. We demand it now. If you don't have a stomach for justice, you better get one quick, because it's going to get ugly before it gets better, guys.
That's right. You sure did. All right. Thank you so much, Mark.
Thank you for having me on, hon.
Oh, thank you for coming. Oh, he's always so good. That's so good. I hope you enjoyed listening to him as much as I have talking with him. So Lauren Raid 9758 said, remind us of where we can get Mark's prophetic words. And so don't forget too that all the links for any show really, it's going to be in the show description. If you go to the Michelle Moore Show Rumble channel and just look into the show description. Okay. So I promised we were going to do a big North Carolina Hurricane Helene update. Boy, have we got an update for you. So I want to give you an update on that. I do want to let you know that because we're going to be going to North Carolina, I'm going to show you the video that started, and I'm going to tell you the whole backstory behind it. But I want to let you know that we won't be doing another live show because we're leaving early in the morning. They're literally loading the truck right now. So it's about $11,000 worth of supplies, food, all kinds of stuff. The I don't know what you call it, the cable cord, whatever it's that connects, I guess I'm not a camper. I know nobody's going to be shocked to hear this, but there's a connection that needs to be made between the tank that holds the fuel and the propane and the generator, apparently. And they need like 30 of those or 60. I don't remember. We're getting them what they've asked for. So they're getting all of that. And so anyways, and so many tank exchanges, I've learned more about some of this stuff than I've ever even known possible in the last 48 hours. So anyway, so we're helping with all of that. We're bringing food, and we are bringing supplies, cleaning supplies, all of our kinds of stuff, cat food, dog food, everything they've asked for, they're getting. So but we're going to show you some backstory to all of that as well. But what that has done is made it to where can't do the show live tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday, because we're going to be going and making sure that people in North Carolina are taken care of. This is all about making sure that they're out of the cold. Y'all, they've already had snow there. It's crazy. Taco Ride says, thanks for continuing to remember North Carolina. Absolutely. We've been doing a lot of things behind the scenes, just hadn't been telling you about it. We've done everything from paying for the insulation. We paid $1,000 for a lady's insulation that needed to be ripped out of her home. I don't know if you know this, but once insulation and drywall and all that gets wet, it's pretty much ruined. You have to rip all that out. Well, the labor is free for this woman. She's a grandma and she's raising a grandchild, and so they needed help with the expenses. And I had said, well, we'll pay for all of the insulation that she needs. So we were able to pay that. It was $1,000. And so I sent the money right away. We did that. That was with Jeff. If you all remember, Jeff Hurdle was on the show back, a month ago. And so he was doing that. So it was so good. Our W.R. Carr says, I feel so sorry for those families. Glad y'all can help. Yes. Well, we're helping because of you, the viewers. And so a couple of things I wanted to say. You guys are the ones that donated. Someone said, oh, you're so great. I got an email yesterday and they said, are you still taking donations for North Carolina Hurricane Helene? And I said, yes, absolutely. Okay, so the address, our mailing address is in today's show description. So if you go to the Michelle Moore Show Rumble channel, you'll be able to go to the show description of today's show, and our mailing address is in there. You need to make the checkout to Michelle Moore, though, not the Michelle Moore Show, but to Michelle Moore. And then I will cash the check and we put it toward all of the funds. And so we've already taken, over $20,000 worth of food and supplies. I say supplies too, because we take like paper plates, styrofoam cups. I mean, just so much stuff. But going back to yesterday's story, the lady said, oh, you're so great. I'm like, no, the viewers, my viewers, the Michelle Moore Show viewers, they're the great ones. You guys are the ones that have donated so that we can make a difference. I couldn't do all of this by myself. It takes all of us. I just keep going and making sure that the money is going where it needs to go and vetting everything. And that takes a lot of time. I vet a lot of different situations. Sometimes we get involved, sometimes we pass and say things, but no, we're gonna pass on that. And so it just depends. And so it depends on what specifically is going on. If I can vet it, if I can confirm all that kind of stuff. We also see what we can do for fur babies. And so not just cats and dogs, but also farm animals. There's been a lot of hard stuff that's happened with people that had farm animals as well, where those structures got damaged that keep the animals out of the cold and out of the rain and out of the snow. And so we take all that into consideration. And so we help where we can and where we think is best. Now you're going to get to see the video about the people that we're going to see tomorrow and how all this came about. But first, I want to tell you and show you a couple other things that's going on in North Carolina so that you're just kind of up to snuff about what all is happening. So let's take a look at video number 1 first.
It hurts. It hurts to know that people's got family, that they haven't a clue where they're even at, and bodies that can't even be identified. But no, none of this is making the news. Nothing.
Has FEMA come up here or any government help?
If FEMA has come, it's maybe to look at people who have filed claims for the total loss. But to the best of my knowledge, nothing has been paid out. I've got a brother up here, I've got my aunt that totally lost anything, and to the best of my knowledge, they still haven't heard back from their claims. We had a group of people in here, and we could get out here and help and feel like we was contributing some, but yet they haven't even been paid for their work or as a contractor to get all this debris on out of us because they've yet to be paid the first time. But those guys worked relentlessly in here grabbing debris, and these guys aren't coming back in here because the government hasn't paid the contract that they signed with them. It is heartbreaking that we're not getting the attention. The news, they made their little thing out here when the military was dropping food with their helicopters and getting people out that needed to go. And they made their big signs and everything. Oh yeah, we're in here, we're this, we're that. I think they must have got back on the helicopter and left with them because we've not seen them since. But it's time our government made good on what they promised. And it is time for them to pay the bills that they promised to pay for these people and us get them back in here to work. but the government needs to pay what they promised they would.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, think about it. These workers that have contracts with the government, and the government's saying, yeah, we'll pay you if you come in and do this work, and then they're not paying them. Well, those people have families to feed too. We don't know if those electricians and construction workers and everybody that's coming in with these contracts is doing the work. We don't know if maybe they even personally were affected as from the storms as well. But, we all need to keep in mind there's different ways that things are being sabotaged to be able to progress. And that's definitely what it sounds like. It's just unbelievable. Yesterday, I spoke with somebody for about an hour that shared with me that he had actually lived through 2 different tornadoes in his area. Now, these were tornadoes, different situation, not in North Carolina or in Tennessee, but he said that the first tornado was very different than the second one. He said the first one, it was smaller, and it was pretty much handled by the locals, he said, as far as cleanup and kind of getting things together. He said, but when the second tornado came, the government came in, FEMA came in, and he shared with me a couple of stories about how catastrophic that was and how it really hobbled them along with being able to progress and do things well. I guess just leave it up to the government to mess it up. I don't know. Sometimes I wonder how much of this is intentional and what exactly are the goals here. But it's story after story after story. So I wanted you to hear that. The second one is Juanita Broderick. I don't know if you all remember her. Remember, she was the one that claims that she was raped by Bill Clinton. She's a big Trump supporter, and she's very active on X. Well, she had X'd out or tweeted out a video. And this is about officers that are being accused of taking $45,000 worth of generators that were going to victims of Hurricane Helene in North Carolina. So let's take a look at video number 2, producer Ron.
The phone numbers, or we want. Yep.
That's exactly right.
That, and
it was loaded with property that was donated and was given to people that needed it.
Exactly.
There is nothing else to say to you, sir. You need to leave.
All right, good. I would like your numbers, your badge numbers, and names. All right, well, I'll get the National Guard captain out here. We're going to have to speak about this. Captain! Captain! They're out here. The sheriff through Samaritans first.
Somebody should have been here the weekend.
Emergency management rolled up here last night and took them on trailers. I couldn't tell you who or what county or whatever. It just said emergency management on the side of the truck. We've already had a deal with the sheriff's office from here, from Mitchell, with the sheriff. We took 4 this morning out to the community because we were told, and they've been directed today. The sheriff said that they've been directed by the emergency management that these things.
And when we get those addresses, well, I'm going to check them personally.
Check what?
Somebody who's doing something good doesn't make threats about charging someone with taking their things out of his truck.
Nobody charging anybody.
Bunch of shit.
Oh, yeah. But the only thing is, we just want them back or to know that they are being used to where they're supposed to be.
There's 30 of them since Bradshaw. Bradshaw Fire Department. The emergency management director came and got there.
From here?
Yes.
Partner. This belongs to these other people.
Okay. So definitely these people are upset about something. This is not the first story that I've heard where things got really crazy with FEMA involved or emergency response teams. I don't know what is going on. But anyways, so, that's just for you to be aware that there are some stories like that. Docs06 says, please take video of what you experience. We don't get real updates from MSM. Absolutely. So last time I went, when we partnered with Houchins Food Group, and Houchins Food Group took care of the truck, the driver, and the fuel. We showed you videos. We showed the pallets being loaded into the trucks or into the truck. I actually filled an entire truck with pallets of just what we, the viewers of the Michelle Moore Show, did. And so we were able to use 100% of the money that we spent went directly toward the food and supplies. And so they took care of the truck rental, the driver, the labor on that, and then also the fuel. So that was amazing. And actually, we filled more than just that one truck because it was so heavy because I had done 4 pallets of water. And so some of that water had to go on another truck. So we actually did more than one truck. This time, we didn't do as much water because we want to make sure that it doesn't get too heavy. And so, but we sent plenty of food, and food itself gets heavy too, by the way. So cans of food. And now the people that were helping, let's take a look at this video so you can get a little bit more backstory and you can see what's going on here.
Dark City Customs in Swannanoa, and up until September 27th, this was a really popular shop. They did a lot of custom work for cars, very well known in the community, and they got completely wiped away. They lost their entire business, but now they are donating their property and running an operation to help supply housing and build tiny homes for some of these people to get shelter, and what they've been doing is incredible. I wanted to sit down with them today and talk to them and just get this story out, because the resilience of the people and what they're doing to help others in the tragedy of their own is what I keep trying to preach. And this is the epitome of it.
I had a gentleman from Utah who wanted to come back out here and help, and him and I got connected, and he runs a nonprofit, and it is called the National Mental Health Alliance. He brought in his nonprofit with me as a local, and this is what we decided to do, was to try to get people out of the cold. The climate controlled structures that we are building, they are fully insulated. They come with electric, vinyl flooring. And our goal is to provide them with something that will keep them warm and safe, and just to give them peace of mind until we all kind of figure out our futures. So right now we have 8 people that we have officially supplied housing for. All 8 people have been a mixture between families, kids, elderly. We are targeting the most vulnerable first. So anyone that has been living in a tent first is what is getting a shelter. And then after we get those in, we do the next 5. Just that way, because we don't want to ever.
Okay. All right. So that's Jenica. And so I have spoken with her a few times. We've been texting back and forth. And so, you know, as you see there, it was Jason Ward that actually did the video feature on them. So it's so crazy. You never know. So Tuesday, I believe it was, viewer Celeste sent me the video. I didn't see it until Friday, and it was late Friday. And so I say late, like 4:30. So I call, and I get a number, and I call, and the husband answers the phone. I speak to him for about 15 minutes. I find out all different kinds of information. I'm asking question after question. He's like, you really need to talk to my wife, though. She's the one running this. And so it was his business. She was an at-home mom raising 4 kids. Their business gets completely destroyed. And he is sitting there talking to me, answering all my questions, telling me what all they're doing, and telling me about his wife. And, she just really put all this operation together. I'm like, well, what do you need? And he's like, well, I said, do you have blankets? Do you have the generators? He's like, yes, we have all that. And he goes, the big thing is food. And I said, what'd you say? And he says, the big thing is food. These people don't have food. And I was like, well, I'm your girl. So I called my husband, and I asked my husband to contact Houchin's Food Group again for me. And guess what's happened? So Houchin's Food Group, once again, is supplying the driver, the truck, and the fuel, so that the money that we still have, that we've already collected, pretty much will take care of all the food and supplies. I went Saturday, got the go ahead, literally dropped everything and went straight over there. And I spent almost $11,000 on food and supplies. It was ordered immediately, and it's already been delivered. And producer Ron, yes, 5. If you haven't seen the thing about the email, pull up the email. Check your email, because I've sent you 5 photos. So we're going to show you some photos. They're not done loading the truck, come to find out. And so, but they've been taking pictures for you, come to find out. So we've got them, and I've sent them to producer Ron, and he's going to pull them up in just a second. So while I'm talking about this, he can work on that. But so here's what's going on. So all of the money that was spent, none of it is on the logistical stuff. And so it's not the truck or the driver or the gas, none of that kind of stuff. It is 100%. There's no handling fee with us. And so we don't do that. 100% of your donation goes to the people. And so we're actually bringing blankets too. And so it's so good. I got a question, says, thank you once again, Michelle and producer Ron. Natalie Howard, viewer Natalie, she went with us one time also. She goes, wish I were going. Girl, we wish you were going too. That was so fun. She was the one that has 20 years of hair cutting experience and we set her up in the hotel, a lobby where they were housing 100, I don't remember how many families, like 140 families, something like that. And that had people that were displaced from their homes. And she was giving out free haircuts while producer Ron and I were out in the cold rain, and we were giving people food and supplies. And then the other thing we do that I want to talk with you about while producer Ron's working, I want to talk to you about a couple of things. So the first thing is, obviously with me doing this, I've really been learning a lot and thinking a lot and reflecting on a number of things. Okay. And so the first thing is I've been reflecting about how much we have been, I think, really MK ultra'd, brainwashed, conditioned, programmed, whatever word you want to use, to not give people money. And sometimes you just need cash. Now, when I talked with Janica, the lady that I'm going to see tomorrow that was on the video, when she and I were talking, she told me some things about that. And she didn't know that I always bring envelopes with love offerings. And so we've been doing that as well. We've just been giving people an envelope with some cash in it. Sometimes people just need some gas money, or they need, whatever that is. Well, Janica was telling me some reasons why they need cash that I hadn't even thought of. And so, it is what it is. But I just want to put that bug in your ear just across the board, not even specific to North Carolina or Tennessee with Hurricane Helene. I'm just saying, look, the fact of the matter is, if you feel led to give someone money, that's on them. That's between them and God. And, you giving the money, like with me, I pray and I ask God to show me and, what to do with the funds. And, I've every time felt led to have money. And so we give, what I call a small love offering. So we give a couple $100, and that's what I've been led to give. And so that's what we give, as well as supplies and things to many people. But, the thing about it is it made me really stop and question and think about it. And like, God, is this the right thing to do with this money? And so I just want to bring that up to you because, these are people that lost everything. These are people that are getting the buildings that were going to be sleeping in tents. There are some with families. She said many of them have pets. So we bought dog food. She said they have dogs. So we bought dog foods and stuff like that. And so I just wanted to, it makes me wonder about what else that applies toward as far as other situations. So I wanted to bring that up to you. Producer Ron has the photos ready. So let's take a look at what they've been doing today. The truck is not completely loaded yet, is the word that I've gotten. And so here's some of the food that I picked out. One of the things that they were asking for is they said, look, nobody wants beanie weenies. And so, nobody wants that kind of stuff. Everybody wants something they can put in a crock pot and make their own meal. People want their own normal. That kind of thing. So we bought things that like spaghetti sauce, spaghetti noodles, mushrooms, corn. So if you're making a soup, because people want to have things to help them feel warm, green beans. So if they're making a beef stew, they have a lot of the canned goods that they need, chicken broth, beef broth, bouillon cubes, all that kind of stuff, vegetable broth. I bought that too. So we got a ton of stuff like that. Of course, hot chocolate. They're asking for the styrofoam bowls, styrofoam cups. I know that when we went to North Carolina on the other trips, people absolutely loved the marshmallows with the hot chocolate and the styrofoam cups. People were like, you got cups? And so we had packages of styrofoam cups. And so we did a lot of that. There are kids from 4 and up that I found out, no babies. And so you can see there's probably about a half a pallet, it looks like there, of the bottled waters. I think I bought like 24 of those packages of like the, bottled waters. But then I bought a pallet of distilled water that's in the gallon jugs. And then you can see I bought hugs because you got kids, that little juices and stuff. And so, this is something to help keep them, where they have something to put in lunch boxes, whatever is needed. And so there's the truck being loaded today with some of the pallets. And so they're still loading, but there it is. And so there you go. There's some more photos. And so it's happening. And so there you go. There's the back room before it got onto the truck. They're building the pallets because I didn't buy a lot of like oh, I want a pallet of this and I want a pallet of that, like last time, because there was only one truck going. It's a big truck, but it's a big box truck, but it's not a tractor trailer. And even with tractor trailers, you still have to worry about the weights. And so, and I had so much different stuff that I was buying. So we had to keep an eye on the weight. There's a lot of moving parts and pieces and technical stuff that I had to worry about with them. But Halchin's Food Group has come through once again. And so just amazing, just amazing. One of the other things that I wanted to share with you, though, is when I spoke with Janica, she was also talking about her son, and she was, because they lost their home, they lost their business, they have 4 kids, and they're doing all this stuff. Well, I say they lost their home. I don't know if they lost their home. They lost their business. And so I don't know about their personal home. And so, you know, they lost their business. She was an at-home mom. They got 4 kids. And so we get to talking, and she's like, you know, there's people that they have different needs. I'm not going to get into some of that on here, but sometimes people just need to go pick up a prescription too. And so they need cash. And then the other thing is, she was like, or they need like magnesium. And my son has, you know, skin issues. And I was like, did you just say magnesium and skin issues? And so Godly Granny. And so we are helping her through Godly Granny. You know about the new initiative that we have. So we have our godlygranny.com store, and she was asking for magnesium, and she was saying her son has rosacea and eczema issues and so skin issues. So we're going to be bringing her some stuff. And you know that I have the black seed oil. So I have a brand new bottle that I had ordered that had come in that I've been sharing with you guys that cured my rosacea. So we're ordering the bars of soap, and we're ordering the cream for the rosacea, eczema, and psoriasis through Godly Granny. And then we're also bringing him black seed oil. And so that way we can see if we can get him cleared up between all of that. I felt like my skin had kind of plateaued after I got healed. My skin's completely healed from rosacea. My researcher, turned out she had the same thing, healed. So, oh, and thank you, Producer Ron. Yes. So if you use the coupon code Michelle10, you get 10% off at godlygranny.com as well. So if you're going to be, and that's your entire order, that's everything. And so if you want to check it out, you can do that. But you can't make this stuff up, y'all. Like, what is the odds of her asking and saying, yeah, you know, sometimes they just need money. Like, you know, my son has skin issues, and, you know, and I need magnesium. And I'm going, what did you just say? You know, because surely I didn't hear that right. And so I just thought that was so crazy. Only God, just only God. And I was like, oh, honey, I got that taken care of. So we're ordering some of that and having it shipped to her, because believe it or not, I don't have an inventory of it. And so it comes straight from the people that make it, the fulfillment company that I am in business with, and so partnered up with. So we're going to be doing that. And so it just is amazing, just helping people get what they need and to be able to get healthy and be healthy and to get out of the weather. And so I hope this has helped just as far as knowing what's going on. And so we're going to be going and taking all that food and supplies for the people that have received the buildings. And so their facility is behind a locked chain fence area. And so, and they happen to have a skid steer, so they can unload the truck in about 15 minutes, which is a major thing. And so we're going to do that. And they have a place to store everything. So we had to talk about the logistics of all of that, and it all worked out just fine, just perfect. And so I just happened to see a video that Jason Ward did about this couple. And I just happened to say, you know what, this might be just what I've been looking for. And sure enough, we've been able to partner up with them and support them and the families that they're supporting. And so, you know, it's just amazing because, like, you know, you can get a building, but what about, you know, just everything else? And so she had taken care of, you know, the heating, and she had, as far as the generator itself, but there's ongoing things that are needed. And so, you know, and just parts and pieces, but she's like, well, we already had the flooring, we have the insulation, we have this, we have that, but they need food, you know? And so I was like, well, now that I can help with. And so of all the things, it was just so amazing. And thank you again, Halchin's Food Group. They have really, really come through for us to helping North Carolina and Tennessee. So thank you so much. All right. Now, one last thing too, talking about Godly Granny. So, we launched this like a couple of weeks ago. They're nutraceuticals, they're products with purpose and for a purpose. And so it's just so amazing what we've got going on. You guys have just been buying up the products like crazy. It's just gone over so well, so amazing, which helps us help other people. And so it's just been amazing. But I get someone the other day that says, well, this seems grifty. Okay. So first of all, look up what the word grift means. And second of all, show me one person that I've taken 1 penny from, that I've conned out of money. Haven't. We give. Y'all have no idea. I mean, that's just a whole nother situation. I don't share everything we do, but when it comes to the money from Hurricane Helene, we do because it's your money. So I feel like it's the right thing to do to update you about what we're doing with your money, the viewers. So we do that. But it got me to thinking, and I got to talking with our doctor, our truther doctor, and a couple of other people, and I just pondering a couple of lessons this week, this weekend, really pondering it. And I got to thinking about how we just shoot our own. It's like, okay, well, we all go, well, somebody needs to do something about that. We hear about all these problems, and then we go, well, someone needs to do something, but nobody ever wants to get up and be the someone, and so we launched, I thought it was 10 months, but it was actually more like 11 months. I have worked, producer Ron has worked. I drove, down to Georgia, toured the facilities, met with the people, looked into their backgrounds, looked into the company background, all of the different stuff. And I mean, you're talking about a workload that is on top of everything else that we do. And so, it's kind of like, I'm just disheartening to even hear something ridiculous like that. And so I say it because there's so many times that people, it's kind of like you can't win for losing. It's like, okay, well, I guess I could have just sat back and done nothing, but I have a business background, as many of you know. And so it's like, okay, well, I just happen to have that skill set and able to do that, and happen to have producer Ron to help me with the parts that I couldn't do, because I sure couldn't do the website. And so he was amazing, but it's like, we have to be really mindful of the way people talk, especially in this movement. It's like, oh, well, if you do this, well, that proves you're guilty. Or if you do it, then it proves you're not guilty. And everybody has something different. So I just thought that was another lesson too. The other thing I wanted to share is I was doing something else completely unrelated to the show. It's personal. And it was on Saturday. And I just want to kind of share in a vague way this story. It was just so amazing. And just a lesson, like I said, I've been kind of reflecting this weekend on different lessons and different things that are going on. And so another thing that's happened is I have a son, he runs a high producing grocery store, doing really well, but he has a meat manager at the store who's known for being the best meat manager with the company. Really hardworking, works overtime, all this kind of stuff. But he's young, just like my son is. And he's like 28 or 29. So he's older than my son, but he's still young. And he's just had his first baby. The wife went into labor. Her water broke at 22 weeks. The baby was 2 pounds at the NIC unit. Still there. This happened a few weeks ago. So when I found out about it, I asked my son to keep me, just posted about what's going on. I kept meaning to address it. He'd been back to work, and I guess it's maybe been 3 weeks now. It's 2 or 3 weeks. But something amazing happened that I wanted to share with you that just kind of kept happening. And I just want to put this bug in your ear also, because maybe it could apply to something you do. So I thought I'd share it with you. So I was out with producer Ron on Friday for a meeting. I said, I got to go by the bank. So I go by the bank and I get money out, because I've been planning for a few weeks to give some money to help this young man and his wife. I've been there, done that with 2 little boys, both in the NIC unit, sitting home without them, and they were 5 pounds. So his baby, and they were only 6 weeks early. His baby is 2 pounds and was at 22 weeks. You're talking about 18 weeks early. They're going through hell. I can tell you that. They're going through hell. So, I have the means to be able to help them. And so I decided that I was going to take some money out. And then when I pulled into producer Ron's driveway, he said, would you mind waiting? I'd like to go and write a check. If I'd like to help him too. I was like, oh my gosh, yes, that'd be amazing. Well, then my sons called me the next morning. They're like, Mama, we were talking about it on the way to work, and we both want to help too. And so a donation that I was planning on doing ended up growing and then growing some more. And so it ended up being a really big blessing for this young man and his wife. He's driving an hour and 15 minutes to go to the hospital. They're sleeping in a Ronald McDonald room. He usually lives about 25, 30 minutes away from work. He usually works a lot of overtime. My son had told me that he's leaving right at 4 o'clock. He's going straight back to the hospital. He's working because he has to work. And so, I know what that's like when you've got a baby in the NIC unit and you think, oh my gosh, I've got to go to work, but I feel so guilty because you can't win, whatever is going on. With me, I didn't have to go to work. My kids weren't in there that long. I was still recovering, but I had been sent home without them. There wasn't a Ronald McDonald room available. So just so happens with both children, I was sent home without them. And it was only less than a week that both of them were in the NIC unit after I'd been sent home. But even when you go home, it's like, oh, and then when the second one came along, you feel terrible because you're leaving one with the, grandparent so that you can go and just hold the baby, and feed the baby before 8 o'clock when they kick everybody out. And so, but then you feel bad because you left the one at home with the family member to come and see the baby. And then when you're not with the baby, it's just a mess. And so I can really pull from those experiences. And he showed me photos of the baby, and it's just amazing. The little bitty baby. It's a little boy, and boys tend to typically struggle more than little girls. By the way, I found that out back when my boys were there and they told me all these statistics and things, but God. And so his little baby has a heart murmur. And I said, well, Mike Carson had a heart murmur and he was scheduled for surgery. And we came in to see the baby, see him and talk to the nurses and the doctor before his surgery. And the nurse was flustered. And she was like, well, before we go back, and take a baby for surgery like this, we usually will, just do another scan, just check, and we can't find the heart murmur. Well, the day before, I was still in the hospital at the time. I'd had a C-section. And so my husband had wheeled me down there. I was in the wheelchair and a friend had come. And so we went down there, and I remember he was under lights because he had a little bit of jaundice, and I was able to put like 3 fingers on him, and we prayed for him and his healing. And it wasn't until a few years later, quite a few years later, about 10 years, one day I heard the Holy Spirit. I was at home by myself and I was walking through the family room, and I heard the Holy Spirit say, I healed him. And the word of knowledge that came was Carson. And immediately it came to me about Carson's heart murmur. Carson never had that surgery. He was healed. And I remember, again, the nurse said, these things don't just heal themselves. And that's why she was so flustered and they were waiting on the doctor. And so I told this young man the other day, I said, don't worry about that heart murmur. I said, you just keep praying, and we're all praying for you too. So I just want to ask you guys to just join me in praying. His name is Dalton, and he has a little boy, and he's got a wife at home recuperating from her delivery and everything. And I say at home, they're at the Ronald McDonald house. They're not at home. And so, anyways, and so he's not getting to work extra. And then also he's buying food. My son said he sees him, checking out at 4 o'clock, getting snacks while they're at the hospital and stuff. And so I just wanted to share though so I call to order the food. I'm going to take lunch to him as well. So I called Outback, and I was going to get a steak and chicken, Alice Springs chicken that I get there. And I thought, well, I'm just going to get the same thing for all of us, and I'll get me a meal too. And so man answers the phone, and I said, yes, I want to place a pickup order and to go. And so I tell him my order, and he goes, wow, what's the odds? 4 meals identical? And I said, well, and then I tell him what's going on, and that, I didn't really, I'd never make it as a waitress, that, I just picked my favorite meal and said, okay, a little bit of steak and a little bit of chicken. Can't go wrong with a baked potato, and called it a day, and macaroni and cheese. And so he goes, really? He goes, well, today's your lucky day. And I said, how's that? And he said, well, I'm the owner of this particular franchise, this location. And I said, really? And he goes, yeah. And he goes, so considering that you're doing what you're doing, I'm going to do something too. And I'm going to give you the food at half off. And so I'm sharing this to just, the only message here is I just felt moved to help. And then other people so quickly got on board. It's like I'm reminded of like leadership. I've done leadership coaching, and even what the Word of God says about how, our people perish for lack of vision. And I had this vision, and I was putting it into action. And through that, other people kept, well, I want to get involved. I want to help. And it's really, as I'm saying this, I'm realizing it's even with North Carolina and Tennessee. It's the same thing. It's viewer Natalie who drove, like you guys don't realize, like she drove so much more than producer Ron and I had to drive. She drove 2 extra days just to be able to come and do haircuts and stuff, and to give food and supplies away with us, and to find out what was going on, and to be boots on the ground. And so it's so amazing because we had so many people send money. We have people that are on Social Security that would send $25 checks, or $25 or a $20 bill in an envelope. You guys did that. You guys. And so it's just amazing. But it's just another example, So next time you feel moved to do something for somebody, do it. You never know. Just in the journey, you might pick up more people along the way. And it could be something that, well, I can only do this little bit. But before you know it, more and more and more people get on board as you talk about it. And, you know how that goes. We get what we, you get more of what you talk about sometimes and what you focus on. And so I just wanted to share that I saw that happen over the weekend, and was just amazed at seeing all of that, just people jumping on board with it and go, well, wait a minute, what are you doing now? And well, I'm going to help too. And it was just so amazing. It was just amazing to watch. And like I said, as I'm saying this story, I'm realizing you guys have been doing that with North Carolina. And so I just want to say that's just so amazing. Thank you so much. Deborah Lynn says, this is really amazing, Michelle. You and your team are the light in a very dark place for these very deserving people. This went from generators to all of this. I know, right? I haven't spent a lot of money on generators, but it turns out that they need fuel and the cables. And so we're going to do all that. But I know, ironic, I thought I was just going to, raise money for some generators, and told God, like, oh, if we could do $7,500, that would just be incredible. But because I was too scared to even just hope for 10,000. And so, because that was the first number, and we blew that out of the water. So it's just amazing. She said, this went from generators to all this. God has certainly provided for North Carolina and Tennessee. We've done some things for Tennessee as well. Heavenly Father, bless and heal this baby, mom and dad. God bless Michelle and her son for helping them. Sons, husband, and producer Ron. And of course, Outback Steakhouse. And so that was just amazing. It was just amazing. All right. Well, I know we've covered a lot today, and I appreciate you spending so much time with me. One last one. So I got a question, says, helping others is more addictive than any drug. Once you see the love in someone else's eyes that you're helping, will keep you coming back. Well, for me, it's really about God also. And so first and foremost, it's about God. It's about my Heavenly Father. I knew that I was called to do this. I kept praying. And I don't know, probably a lot of people watching this don't know the story. So the backstory is you, the viewers, kept emailing me and asking me who to give money to. Who did I trust? And I didn't trust anybody. And everybody was like, I don't trust anybody. I don't know who to trust. So who do you trust? Who do you recommend we give money to help? And I was like, God, and I just started praying. I was like, God, am I really going to get involved in this? Like, because I kept praying and thinking, who would I give money to? And I just couldn't come up with anybody. I kept looking and watching the videos, and I just didn't know these people for sure. And, it sounds good or whatever, but I just was like, and I certainly can't recommend other people give their money, right? And so I don't know. I just couldn't do it. And then I started praying. I was like, God, are you showing me I'm supposed to get involved? And it just kept going from there, and it became very obvious. And it has just become more and more obvious that was exactly what I was supposed to do. And, it's just been amazing. I could tell you, I could keep going, but it's been amazing how God has shown up and shown out. I could just tell you so many stories, even with the love offerings. I had a woman who, she really had a hard time. Natalie was inside, viewer Natalie was inside doing haircuts. We were outside. It was spitting snow. Producer Ron and I are outside, and the hotel is calling the rooms of the people that are living there that are displaced, letting them know we're down there and that we have food and supplies and stuff. So they're kind of trickling out and everything. And this one woman was really kind of, shy, standoffish, meek. I don't really know the word and to describe it, but you could tell she felt, look, we're not used to that. Most people aren't going to be used to not living in your home and having these issues. And so what happened is, it was like, well, you want some hot chocolate? What about this? What about, and producer Ron is so great too. Well, what about this? And we're just bagging stuff up. She's like, if she'll nod yes. Well, she's like, oh, you got soap? Oh, yeah. What about some laundry detergent? You need some laundry? Oh, yes. Oh my goodness, we really need that. Great. And so we made it easy for her to receive, in other words. And so we try to make it real easy for people to receive the help. And then as she went to say goodbye, I said, oh, I've got something for you. And I went and got an envelope out of my car and gave her a love offering, is what I call it. And so it had $200 in there, and it's a bifold card. And on the front of the card, it says the Michelle Moore Show, and it's got the money inside. And so she, it's stuffed in an envelope and everything. And so she came back, and when I handed it to her, she didn't even know what was in it, but she handed it to me, and she said, all right, when I handed it to her, she just was like, her face changed, and she hugged me, and she was just like, thank you. And she didn't even know what was in there. So I guess it was about 20, 30 minutes later, she came back, and I was helping somebody, and we were really busy helping this family. And the family kept growing because they were calling other family members, needing stuff. I mean, they're just all affected. And so we were helping that family, and got done. I turned around, and she's talking to producer Ron, and Ron's like, she wanted to talk to you. And she came back over, and she goes, can I have another hug? I really just need a hug. And told me thank you again, and for the money and everything, and she just needed another hug. And that's these people don't even. She didn't know what her house even looked like. She wasn't sure because the driveway had been washed out. She didn't know if she even had a home left, and she couldn't get to her house. It's the unknown, and she didn't know how long she was going to be there. She already been there for weeks at the time, and it was just your heart just breaks for these people. And so these are the real stories. These are people that really, really need some help. And they're not getting help. Just like this couple with the 4 kids that have been helping their community, they're not getting any help. I asked him, and I said, well, what about you? What's the deal? I mean, I just saw this video, and it shows your business is completely demolished. And he goes, oh, well, I mean, he spent 15 minutes answering my questions about everybody else, never said a word about his needs. And so, which doesn't surprise me. And so I said, what about you? And you got 4 kids. He goes, well, my wife stay at home, and I got 4 kids, and it's been 3 months with no pay. And he kind of went, it's getting tight. And so just so you know, we're going to take care of them too. All right. Well, we hope that you've enjoyed today's show. It's gotten really close to 2 hours. Sorry that it's so long, but I felt like there was just so much to say today that could maybe help someone. And I hope that you've enjoyed today's show. Ryan P2550 says, we'll miss you this week. We'll be back on Friday. And he says, I pray for safe travels. Thank you. Thank you very much, because it's a lot. It is a lot of driving, and especially with a big box truck. So we appreciate that. We're getting up early and getting going before the sun comes up. So we'll see you next time, Friday, right here on the Michelle Moore Show.
I'm Dr. Fulgens. For over 30 years, UCB has helped customers strengthen portfolios with gold. But let them tell you in their own words.
Buying gold and silver from Universal Coin and Bullion has been one of the greatest experiences for me, and it's been an easy process and also a very safe process to do that.
Call now to secure your 1-ounce gold or silver American Eagle coin with no dealer markup.
Are you tired of all the pills in your medicine cabinet? I'm Linda Bamber Olson, the creator of the Wave Watch, a more natural approach with 1,000 frequencies for mind and body. People have used the Wave Watch for kidney stones, arteries, blood, immune system, vagus nerve, myocarditis, allergies, colds and flu, ADD and ADHD, strokes, Parkinson's, carpal tunnel, thyroid, Lyme disease, and so much more. Wave Watch has a 1-year manufacturer's warranty for defects and flaws, and you can also upgrade to an additional warranty for water damage and breakage. Are you tired of all your pills and endless trips to the pharmacy? Why not try the Wave Watch with 1,000 different self-care ideas and put your mind at ease?
Just go to wavewatch.com. At checkout, use the code Michelle100 to receive $100 savings on your purchase.
For Michelle's social media links, go to MichelleMooreShow.com.